Yes.
Hello. Are we connected?
Indeed.
We are.
Oh, hello.
It's Dr. Slick. How you doing?
What's up, babies?
Hey. Cosmic babies. Indeed. I am Cosmic Baby Anthony Moseley. I use the he, him, his pronouns. I'm the artistic director of the Collaboration Theater Company, Chicago, Illinois, Earth.
And I am the Cosmic Baby called Nicole Brooks, aka Dr. Slick.
And I'm Dr. Marcus Robinson, Collaboration's Executive Director. I'm so glad to have you here. You know, this is a Together Network. We're all here about how we get through this pandemic together. And, a lot's going on this week. So I wanted to start this week with just acknowledging the kind of the pain that we're experiencing this week. With the pandemic, we're over 100,000 of our fellow citizens, friends, residents, visitors having succumbed to the disease, and it's exposed lots of disparities in the way people are treated in our country, and with a disproportionate negative impact on Black, Indigenous people of color, and then you couple that with some of the underlying stuff that was always there, bubbling up in our society, and with this week's events in New York, and most specifically here in Minneapolis. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that tonight, and say that my heart is broken, and just recognize that after talking to hundreds of people today, our collective hearts are broken, and we're all searching for answers on how we make our country a better place for everyone, with no one left out. So I would like to offer us the opportunity to sit in solidarity, in solitude, in silence for just a moment, just to recognize our pain, take a moment to heal for a moment, and connect as human beings, because that's really the key. We're here together, and let us belong to each other in a beautiful way. So let's take a moment of silence and just hold that thought of a beautiful, inclusive America. Thank you for all of that. I really appreciate that moment. It meant a lot to me. I've been agitated and upset, for a week or so now, and I just needed to have that opportunity to commune with y'all that way. So thank you so very much for that.
We love you right where you are. And that goes for you, Dr. Marcus, and anybody who's on the other side of the screen. We love you right where you are. So, shall we together lock arms and move forward? What you say, Anthony?
I say we must. We are inextricably connected to one another, and might as well move forward together. The Together Network is Collaboration's online platform to create virtual programming, like our Prodigies Workshop show every Tuesday at 4 p.m. that Dr. Slick and Luis Crespo lead, a group of youngsters learning to develop their creative writing chops. And then this show every Thursday at 8, and we have a great one tonight. And we come together here to build and connect.
And the way this breaks down is that we will have up to 90 guests here in the Zoom conference live, and you can also share your thoughts and questions by signing up for a ticket in advance, while others can live stream on Facebook, YouTube Live, and Twitch. And you can go back and watch our first 5 shows and all the individual segments on our YouTube page, which you should click, and subscribe to.
Yeah, and people will be able to ask questions of our guests. Luca will pull you in. And Luca, I want you to take a look at the Facebook stream for questions from Facebook tonight as well. I got $75 in donations just 5 minutes ago on Facebook. So we don't want to forget the Facebook people. because this programming needs funding. The Together Network is made possible from the generosity of our sponsors, AV Chicago, the Mark and Jeannie Malnati Family Foundation, and the Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation, and individuals like you. You can donate as little as $1 on Facebook, or you can do a monthly contribution. Anything that you can give will go to make this work that creates space for us to connect with each other.
Beautiful. That's right, man. We've launched a matching gift challenge we're calling Transcendence to raise a total of $100,000 to ensure that Collaboration survives this pandemic by creating this platform and others. The Feinberg Foundation and the Malnati Family Foundation have agreed to match our first 50,000 raised. And so far, we've raised about $18,000, which is well on our way.
No, that was last week. We're at
that was last week. What do we got? What do we got?
Woo!
Whoa! So keep it coming like that. Please contribute if you can at collaboration.org. If no gift is too small, and if you've got it to give it in a big way, it will go towards helping to heal and transform our city. And on this week's show, we'll be exploring art, love, and magic with our guest, founding Collaboration company member Sandra Delgado in Act 1, and a longtime company member, associate of Collaboration, David Dastmalchian in Act 2. So you're in for a great show.
Ooh, I'm so excited. And I get to introduce our halftime show, which will be a magician, okay, called David Kovack. Very excited. So get ready for some magic, okay?
And then in our Together portal, submission of the week, we have David Quang Pham, who has submitted a video. It's like a song about particles. It's poetic, it's abstract. It's really cool. And it's a musical drama centered on particles and astrophysics called Tour Available Energy. And that'll be right after the halftime show. And you too can submit a video to possibly be featured here on Crucial Connections. Just go to collaboration.org and send us something. You can also send us writing or a photograph. We'd love to see your work and possibly share it.
Absolutely. So please do that right away. So let's get started with Sandra Delgado. The first time I met Sandra was actually in my onboarding as managing director of Collaboration Theater Company, as she was one of the lead artists that had the opportunity to bless or deny my inclusion in the family. And I'm so glad that she opened her heart and this company to me and my family and all the artists that I'm connected to in this company. And she's an amazing playwright, a fantastic artist, and even better human being. Oh my goodness, so glad to have Sandra Delgado with us tonight here on our show. Hey, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's so good to see everyone's faces.
So my first question is, what is the magic that allows you to get up every day and generate the art that you do, be the mother that you are, be the partner to an amazing human being, a man that I know very, very well, who's quite the dynamo. How do you do it?
A lot of coffee. Stella knows, my daughter knows that she really can't talk to me too much until I've had my coffee.
Got it.
No, but really, my motivation is her. I would say that my life as an artist, what I wanted to say as an artist, changed with motherhood for me. That was a really big turning point. And so she continues to be, and motherhood in all its facets continues to be something that gets me up and that I continually want to explore in my life and in my art. Everything that motherhood means, which is a lot more than giving birth to a child. It means a lot of things that I explore in my work.
Wow, yeah. I noticed that in the last couple of really big pieces that I've watched you pull together, compose, produce, and turn into just amazing works of art, all have that thread of family and connectedness and kind of the richness of lived experience. Can you talk with us a little bit about how you develop your storylines and what you pull from, and the piece of work that you got going on with with some of the best stuff everybody knows you about?
Yes. Well, I would say my family has always been a big inspiration. And my mother has repeatedly asked me to stop writing about her family.
I got it.
Which I'm slowly doing. But family is a big inspiration, and Chicago, our city, is a big inspiration. I have really found I'm finding that my life's work is the stories of our city, because every block, when I think about the quantity of stories on any block over decades and decades and decades, it is so incredible. So I'm really committed to telling the underknown stories of our city, the stories of our city that are not in the history books, the people of our city that are not in the history books. That's something that's really, really important to me. And I have found, I guess I know when I want to write about something, when it's something that surprises me, when it's something that I didn't know about our city. For example, with La Habana Madrid, I thought I was going to write a play about my parents. And once my father told me that there used to be this Caribbean Latinx nightclub on Belmont and Sheffield, which is pretty much a white neighborhood, that there was one in the 60s, I was like, wow, if I don't know this, there are a lot of people that don't know this. And what ended up happening was I got really lucky, and a lot of people who lived in that time were open to talking to me, but it really felt like an excavation. It was almost an archaeology mission to try to find anything about this club and about the people that started it, the people that played there, because it hasn't been documented to the mainstream.
Yes. So what's surprising you now that you're writing about or musing about?
So I am writing a play called The Boys and the Nuns. And like the majority of my work, it incorporates music. Music is actually my entryway into performing. Since I was 5-6 years old, music has been a part of how I express myself. And so with this play, which I'm gonna say it's a musical, but what I'm really interested in is following a group of people where music is a part of their natural life every day, just like it is for me. Even though I'm not out like performing every day, music is a part of my everyday life, just like it was when I was growing up. And so I'm really interested in exploring music in a way that isn't like a traditional theater, a traditional musical where people just kind of bust into song. It's like, no, these people are musicians, or these people are people that just love to sing around the house. But this story is the story about the fight for LGBTQ rights in Chicago in the 80s, and how a group of Catholic nuns became a huge, huge part of helping their fellow Chicagoans to pass a human rights ordinance to give people just basic human rights. And that story is continually surprising me. And it's been just, as always, just such a pleasure and such a learning experience to sit down with people who have lived through this era. And also, when I say that every block has countless stories, where the bulk of the story takes place in Lakeview in Boys Town, that's just a block away from where La Habana Madrid, the nightclub in the 60s, was. So you start, I hope with my work, you really start seeing the layers and how a neighborhood can change over a long period of time.
Wow. Well, thank you for that and that insight into that new piece. I can't wait to read it and even see it on stage. So I'm wondering what our resident playwright over here on the artistic staff has to ask, because colleague. I'm sure there's a better question bubbling up over there with my dear friend Nicole Brooks. Please join us.
Give it to me.
Hi, baby. Okay, not only are we just we're friends of many years, so I am gonna fangirl out and just totally be a geek and all the things. First piece, I'm so happy to see you. It's so wonderful to hear about this canon of work that you are bringing to us, especially those of us that have lived many years in Chicago. So I wanna ask you, sis, so we got 50 wards in Chicago, right? Knowing what we know right now and all the things, if we were to get a 51st ward, what would it look like for you?
Oh gosh, that's what it would look like. Wow. Just a place where everyone is truly welcome, where everyone's voice is really heard, where everyone has what they need, where everyone has what they need. And, we just moved to Portage Park a few months ago. And I know one of my big hopes for moving to this neighborhood, we moved from a condo building that had 21 units. We lived there for 16 years and we barely knew our neighbors.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It was also kind of a transient place too. We were like the old timers there. We were there for a really long time, 16 years. And so a lot of people came and went in that time. But we didn't really get to know a lot of people deeply. And that is something that has been a big hope for me moving here to Portage Park. And that hasn't happened yet. And, it's like, we just moved here. Now everyone's kind of shut into their homes, but to add to your question, a place where people really are connecting with each other.
Yeah.
It's so different now. When I grew up, I grew up in a situation where we had I grew up in a 2-flat building in Chicago, our iconic red brick 2 flats. And it was my family on the bottom and my tias, my aunties on the top. And so it was like always a family affair. And there was always someone to watch us, I feel like now that the family units are so different than they were in the 70s and in the 80s, and even culturally as we assimilate into this country, just how things change and how, I would love to see our neighbors, our neighborhoods take the place of those families,
Yeah.
So that would be my dream, and a lot of green space.
Fantastic.
Well.
Yes,
So, that's beautiful. I'm hoping that someone in the chat will raise a question or two for our guest, for Sandra Delgado. And in the meantime, until one shows up, I want to open the mic to my dear friend Anthony Moseley.
Who that?
Who may not know enough about you to ask the question, but I'm going to invite him anyway.
Sandra, are you available for lunch tomorrow? I'd like to get to know you better. You're sure something, my inner, I'm going to not tell the story of us meeting right now, but if you'd like to hear that story, DM me. I have two quick things. Maybe the first is not so quick, but I'm just going to ask my questions and I'll let you answer them. Looking back on your career, what is the most special moment that you can recall in a theater in the last 25 years in Chicago? And then my other question is, being in the front row, Sandra and I are married. If you didn't know that, a lot of people don't believe that. And when they actually, there are some people that they see us together and they go, "You're married?" And I'm like,
You lucky guy.
You didn't see my face tattoo of Sandra Delgado? But I've had the front row seat to watch you build just an incredible career. What can you offer a young, BIPOC Chicago theater artist in regards to what you've learned from your path as a newbie actor without a theater degree to now being a playwright and someone who's actually making an impact on Chicago's culture through your work and advocacy? 2 questions.
Were those 2 questions? Okay.
What would you tell them?
First of all, we need you. God, do we need you? We need you. We need you out there creating. Theater is such a powerful way for to smash stereotypes about people. And it's also a way to connect people. And it's a way for, I know that it makes a difference whether there are 10 people at my show or 100 people at my show or 1,000 people at my show. I know I'm making a difference just by being the writer, just by being the actor up on stage. Visibility is so important. So I feel like if you want to go into that, dive into the pool and pick this artistic path, and you have stories inside you, which I know that you do because everyone has stories inside of them. I would say it's your responsibility to do it because it makes a difference in the world. Yeah. What was the other question?
What's your most special moment as you look back?
The most special moment. Yeah.
Is there one that rises up in your mind?
There's a few. The other I do want to add a little bit more on to what would I say to someone is to find your co-conspirators. Because what I have found, because I tell stories in a different way than what you normally see, let's just say, for example, in a regional theater subscription season, that you hold on to what that is that makes you uniquely you, and find that group of people who believe in you, and you can create stuff together. It's really easy to get caught up in when you're thinking about dreaming big and goals and looking at like these shiny objects, but that's not ultimately what's important. What's important to me is to make sure that the people that I write my plays for are seeing my plays. That's another really important thing to me. And on that note, I think when I think about my biggest memories theater-wise, they all really do have to do with the work that I've created. It's kind of hard to pick just one. Maybe I'll just start with the first one because it ties into your first question. So I'm a founding member of Collaboration, and the bulk of my career has been as an actress. But I think it was maybe about 8 years ago, Collaboration, which has always been such a home to be like, yes, you can play this character. Yes, you should direct. Yes, you should write. I was encouraged by Anthony and Seth Boakley, who was our associate artistic director at the time, to write something, to devise something, which scared me because I thought, I've never written anything before. I'm not a playwright. I don't know how to do this. And they encouraged me. And I think just the memory of developing this piece, it was what I would call a dance theater piece. And even though at that point I had done a lot of amazing theater and big theaters outside of the city and small theaters all around town, it was the most artistically satisfying experience. It was a 10-minute piece, and it just blew my mind that all these people in my life, these fellow actor devisers, I reached out to them and said, hey, I've got this idea. Will you join me? And they all said yes. And that blew my mind. And so just the fact that I was able to develop it and to lead a process, which was something that I didn't think I had in me. I mean, it was like just smashing all these fears that I had inside my mind. And that, I mean, it was huge. Without that little 10-minute piece, there is no La Habana Madrid, which brought with it just a whole host of incredible memories. So if you have a creator inside of you, and I know you do, you have to do it.
And that show, Pata Carmen, is actually on YouTube. And it has one of the most epically awesome casts ever. I mean, Jeremy O'Harris,
yeah, Jeremy O'Harris, who took Broadway by storm this past season with Slave Play. Kanisha Foster, who's out there doing television in LA and directing theater all over the country. Her hubby, Tony Sancho, joined us for one of the productions of the play.
Remy Ortiz. Oh, hold on, Sandra. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a guest who'd like to come on and ask you a question before we wrap things up here.
Okay.
Our former board president, the one and only Mr. Nick Rokup, is going to be joining us.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Sandra. Nicole, how are you, Dr. Slick?
Hey, I'm great. I'm so happy to see you.
Anthony, we got to get out on the golf course.
Yes, you can now, or you will be.
We've been playing since May 1st, just the city courses haven't been open, so. Anyway, thank you all for doing this. This is wonderful. Love to see all the smiling faces and my friends and my family. Sandra, I just said a question. I know it hasn't been always easy for you either. And I have some artist friends who are going through some tough times right now, and whether they're discouraged or frustrated. What would you tell them, particularly in a time like this right now, that keep hope, and what would you do to get out of a funk like some of them are in? So
yeah, I mean, I have had a lot of ups and downs, these last couple of months, and honestly, I have been in a funk the last couple of days, and just being here and sharing space with you all is filling me up so much, like really filling me up, and just getting to think about my art and talk about my art and get to see all of your faces is really filling me up. So I would say that they should reach out to each other. And, I talked to a friend the other day, and she told me that her and her husband every morning at breakfast, they say affirmations to each other. They say, you know what, this time next year, this is what I want to be doing. And I was like, I want to start doing that. Anthony, let's start doing that.
And we do our annual goals.
We do, but this is different. This is let's visualize ourselves out of where we are right now, and let's have some fun dreaming about where we want to be a year from now. And I've actually found that for myself, I've had to kind of not think too much in the future, or I will actually completely freak out because I have no idea when I'll be able to work again as a playwright or as a stage actress. It's going to be a while. So when I start thinking about that, it's not good. Right, so I've been trying to take it really a day at a time, really leaning into my yoga, into meditation, just breathing and being outside and connecting with my friends, just seeing each other. And then I think this last component, which is a little different than worrying about like, when am I gonna be able to work again? But visualizing, in a year, this is where I'll be, I think can be a really healthy practice. And I really believe in visualization. I mean, I really believe in the power of it.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, right? Telling stories and visualizing the stories, living the stories in your mind, and and just live in the future. And you know, it's wonderful to share this space with all of you. And thank you for everything you guys are doing and keep doing. It's such a big part of my last 10 or 15 years or whatever I've been part of the Collab family. So thank you again, and great to see you all. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Wonderful.
Dave.
That's so beautiful,
It's
so
on-
beautiful.
it's on you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sandra, for being with us, for bringing the love and the insight, you know, and your genius to our screen, and you fill us up. It's a mutual kind of nurturing that goes on here. So thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you. You have filled my hearts. And I want to give a special shout out before I go to Luca Collabro, who is now a new Collaboration intern and was one of my star students at Loyola University this past year. And he has been a big part in the development of the Boys and the Nuns. And I'm so happy that he's joined the Collab fam.
I love Luca so hard. Yay.
Yay! Absolutely.
And I just
Really.
want to thank Sandra
Oh my
for,
God.
I mean, this woman can cook anything.
Oh,
I can't build an IKEA table. I can't read any instructions. And she can make every kind of bread you ever dreamt of.
Okay.
So we do live together. We are married, and all the rumors can stop. Okay.
All right.
we love y'all.
All right, man. That was a great set of interviews. Now we've got some really great material coming up, you know, with our halftime show, and not to mention our second act guest. So take it away, Nicole. Tell us what we're doing, Anthony. Tell us what we're doing next.
If you have good taste, then you will love Magic by David Kovack. Put your hands together. Welcome. See how I did that? That was my magic trick. I brought him in. David, how are you, friend?
I'm very good. Hello. It's wonderful to see everybody. And you let me know when you're ready, because I'm ready.
We ready.
We stay ready. Go ahead.
First
It's
of all,
on you.
It's so excellent to hear what's going on with, you know, everybody kind of coming together and doing all this. I love the theme of connectedness, and I do miss collaboration in Chicago. I only spent a quarter century in Chicago. So let me tell you a few of the things I discovered. Now, most people stop at the impossible, but if you're a magical thinker, then the impossible is where you begin. So let's begin. I have a suitcase here, and a slightly smaller one for the shorter sets. And in fact, a very tiny suitcase. That's where we begin. This was passed on from my great-grandfather to my grandfather, and my grandfather passed it on to my father, and my dad sold it to me. Okay, we'll press on. There are more important things in life than money, but they're expensive. That's 2 for you so far. You should be writing these down. I have here, let's see. Transparency, yes, indeed. An illusion isn't something that doesn't exist. It's something that isn't quite what it seems to be. Hopefully you can see I'm down to 2 more coins. Which would you prefer, doctor? Either doctor, the big coin, or the small?
I'd like the small coin.
Very well. Then I'll remove the small. I'm working for you. But I do it without ever even opening the bag. Watch carefully. As I say, an illusion isn't something that doesn't exist.
What?
It's something that isn't quite what it seems to be. And this is truly what it seems to be. Now, remember, there are people who are smart in different ways. Some think in pictures, others are more athletic. Then we have the verbal linguistic types. But today, we're talking about what it means to think like a magician. And in a moment, I'm going to show you the trick that I showed my wife, Lisandra, a collaboration. She's no stranger to collaboration. I'm going to tell you the story of how we met. But first, you may recognize this item here. Do you remember this one?
Indeed.
Okay, very good. I know it's not quite like the Magic Castle here, right? Or the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. Like, I can't really hear anybody. But this is the perfect paradigm for capturing every single one of a person's fingerprints. I'm going to solve it for you in record time. Not with 2 hands, that's like juggling, or 1 hand, but with no hands, might look something like this. How'd I do?
Ooh.
I remember the first time I saw that, Anthony, I forgot to clap too. Yeah. Anyhow, I could tell you how I did it, but you wouldn't respect me in the morning. Did I mention?
Is that 4?
Did I mention that 12 newborn babies on average are given to the wrong parents daily? That has nothing to do with this. Just wanted to make sure you're paying attention. All I have here are 2 rubber bands. You don't have to have fancy props to perform. A lot of people, they say, well, I'm going to finally learn right now during this global pandemic. I'm going to learn how to juggle. I'm going to learn how to play piano. I'm going to learn how to do a magic trick. It's the perfect time. So here's one of my favorites. I have here 2 rubber bands. Can you see that from where you are?
I see that, David.
Okay. I can't separate my hands unless I take these rubber bands off my fingers. I can't go this way. I can't go through the center. But if I do a little magic on good nights, I melt one right through.
Yo.
Ooh.
Now, you're not supposed to repeat a trick, but just this once. One goes on the other side like so, you see? Now I cannot separate my hands. It's like an escape, right? Like Houdini. Not even Houdini could get out of this one. He was an escapologist, an escape artist. I can't go this way. I can't go through the center, but if I do a little magic on good nights, I melt it right through.
What?
Don't look at me, I'm looking at you. This is so bizarre. The whole
Yeah. You doing it?
The
You
scale
doing
is-
it? It's working.
The scale of the rubber
fine.
bands work really well. That's very smart.
Does it really? Okay, good. People
Yeah.
call to say, I want to see a Zoom show. This is the trick. It's actually a little story because we're all storytellers here, right? Every actor should have an act. So this was my act. This is how I met Lisandra. I said I had $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, and $1 was stolen by the bully. His name was Eddie. Oh yes, I was a victim of my ineluctable magical powers. 2, 3, 4, 5. By Tuesday, I had 5 bills in hand. I said, wait a minute, 1 bill handed off to the bully. How is it I arrive at 1, 2, 3, 4? It kept happening. Now, this is the part where Lisandra started laughing really loud at the Chopin Theater. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, $5. Again, 1 bill handed off to the pocket. How is it I arrive at 1, 2, 3, 4? Let me give you a closer look. 1 bill handed off to the pocket. They don't even leave the frame. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyhow, as I say, we had a drama teacher, Miss Augustine. I said, I have how many dollars? She said 5. I said, right. I placed 1 inside the pocket of a friend in need. How many should I have remaining? And Miss Augustine declared 100. Sometimes we need to think bigger. Thank you very much. Are you enjoying
That's
this?
big money, baby. That's big money.
Let's do one more, very quickly. You don't have to have fancy props to perform. This is a very good one with cards. I'm just going to adjust this so that everyone can see. As a matter of fact, I'll take off my ring so you don't think it has anything to do with this particular
sleeve.
Oh, yes. I don't know what the secret to success in marriage is, but I suspect it's all who you know. All right, this is going on this finger for just one moment. These are cards. This is one I call the hands of time, because there's as much time now as there ever was, especially since we're in a difficult time, right? A strange time. But if I could stop time, how would I know? Well, none of these objects would move through space. So let me tell you exactly what I'm driving at. I have here 1, 2, 3, it looks like 9 cards. I will build a beautiful clock out of these cards right in front of you. They will not even leave the frame. And then you'll see something very unusual. People may say Mr. Kovack must have had glue on his hands. That's how he was able to accomplish what he's doing. But actually, it's a trick that takes 10 seconds of your time and 10 years of mine. Now, there's no glue, there's no strings, but I have here a perfect clock made out of these playing cards. Nevertheless, we need to get to the bottom of a very serious mystery. I'll be right with you. Did I mention that Charlie Chaplin once entered a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest and he placed 3rd? True fact. Evidently, originality is not always so easy to recognize. I'm going to remove one of these cards, no glue. Second one.
Oh my God.
Feel fancy. And finally, when you say fall, Slick. When Dr. Slick says fall, that's when they fall, not before.
Oh!
And so they do. Thank you so much. Never work alone.
David Kovack.
Thank you very much.
Oh, man, you the man. That's
I want
all
to
right.
remind you
Oh my
that if
God.
you've been dazzled or delighted, astonished, even amused, reminded in some way that amazing things happen every day, we know the spirit of the modern day vaudevillians, which is really all of us, has been with us all along. Thank you so much. An adult is just a deteriorated child. Thank you, everybody.
David!
Great to see you, pal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bravo.
Thank you very much.
I've been to the Magic Castle, and I can tell you that this feeling I have right now watching him on Zoom is the same feeling. That is a fantastic magician right there. Thank you so much, David Kovack.
So, David Kovack and I really met by being actors in Chicago, and we would see each other in the waiting room. And it got to a point where I knew if I saw David in the waiting room for an audition, that they didn't know what they were looking for. Because we two different kinds of weird, David and I.
Oh.
But that was great to have him dazzle us. And his greatest magic trick of all times is marrying company member Sandra Delgado. And I would say my magic trick of marrying Sandra Delgado is maybe more impressive.
Oh, that was.
Well, now we
great.
have our Together Portal submission of the week. This is a lean into this one and get into the heart of astrophysics, or just lean back and relax and grab yourself another soda water. But this is Tour Available Energy. It's a very cool piece. It's also hypnotic. So check it out, and we'll be right back after that with David Dastmalchian, Double D.
Random encounter, perfect for a newcomer. Ego is always shared. Vitalized kinship, distribution, fixed amount of energy amongst identical persons. Activate kinematics. Free available energy. 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 Free kinetic energy. Free available energy. Lock prevailing ends. Entropic times, then chaos. Put work as op time. United as always time. A degradation. Electrostatics class. Avoid that collision course. Collapse through synergy. Energize potential.
Free available energy. Our next guest here on Act 2 of the 6th episode of Crucial Connections has a lot of energy to unleash on the world. David Dastmalchian is really a Renaissance dude, and his career continues to unfold in unique and special ways. We do have a little video we're going to show of David, but let me just say that Anthony Moseley and Collaboration had the great destiny to bump into this guy in a unique moment in our histories back in 2004 or 2005 when he was in the wedding of Laverne and Gianni, directed by Jimmy McDermott, written by
Schwartz.
What's her name?
Emily Schwartz.
Emily Schwartz. And it was a brief moment in magical time at the Chopin Theater, and David went on after studying at the theater school of DePaul. He got cast in some Wendy's commercials. Next thing you know, he's in The Dark Knight, and then he writes and produces his own super personal film, Animals, that I was in and got cut out of. But one of the most, I believe a real artist shares their most painful moments so other people can learn from them. And that's what David did in that film. He then went on to get sucked into the Marvel franchise and Ant-Man, and has created another film and now a comic book. And, he is a living testament to debunk the myth that nice guys finish last. This guy is, I dragged him to my daughter's school and had him, do stuff there. I've dragged him all over the place, and he can't say no to me for some reason. I'm just going to keep on following the universe's lead and praying to get back in space with him. He also, maybe in a way most incredibly, partnered with a young, amazing artist named Aisha June. When she was 16 years old, a high school student on the South Side, I said, David, how about you do something for Peace Book and I partner you with a young Black girl on the South Side? And he said, okay. And together they wrote a play called Thread, which we're going to show tonight after the show. I'm becoming known for super overlong intros for my man crushes. So I'm going to stop it right there and say, David, thank you for joining us. Thank you for linking your ride to mine and vice versa, man. It's great to see you. Let's run the tape. Can we run the tape real quick before David gets going?
It's Friday night. Lock your doors up tight. Come down into deadly air. Frightening things everywhere. Face your fears and gather near. The Dr. Fearless Show is here.
Good evening, boils and ghouls. Whatever you are, welcome to the friendly confines of the Doctor's laboratory. I'm so grateful you've braved the perils of the witching hour to join us for tonight's special presentation.
That was a trailer for David's Count Crowley, a comic book he's written about chasing down monsters, and I thought that might be an interesting metaphor. David, welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you.
Anthony, thank you. Hi, everybody. Hugs from California to Chicago. Anthony, you have not dragged anybody anywhere. You lift us up, and I was so grateful to get lifted up by you and Sandra back at that moment when we did that incredible sketchbook. And I think it was 2005, but with Emily and Jimmy, and your energy and what you were doing for the city and what you did for all of us actors and writers and creators and the opportunities you were carving out, and you lift people up, man. And I am just so grateful that our paths are intertwined the way they are, and I think they will continue to be, no matter where geographically, we find ourselves placing our feet.
Yeah, and I skipped that David and Sandra together were in a piece that I wrote with Liviu Pasari called Blink, which ended up being the last piece to be in Sketchbook. It closed the 15th and final Sketchbook, and the show was about spending time with each other. And David did a huge solid, came in, did the piece, had to leave to go be in David Lynch's new Twin Peaks TV show, which gave me the opportunity to take his place for a night and run the show with Sandra. And, I look at guys like you and I, David, maybe me more than you, and I think about where we were in 2005. And, I was kind of known as the cool guy party king of Chicago theater for a while. And I threw the parties because I was trying to bring people together and celebrate life. But I've become a real social justice warrior, and I'm so proud of my own ability to change, and understand my privilege and my complicity with systems that keep people down and that are hurting us all. And I look at you, and I'm also proud of the fierceness of the battle that you seem to wage with so much energy. So I want to get to that, but maybe let's just start with, how are you doing, bro? Where are you at in your spiritual journey of this pandemic? How's the ups and the downs and everything in between, and your family, and what can you share with us about what's been helping you get by?
Man, it's hard. Everybody who's watching this right now, we'd be in denial, or we'd be on something that we probably shouldn't be if we were going to say that it wasn't. This is definitely one of the hardest collective moments. I've had moments sleeping in my car, addicted to, opiates. I've had moments where my spiritual or my psychological state of health was lower, but collectively, like, what's happening right now, it's a dark moment. And this has been a dark number of years on the surface. It's been a dark time for a long time, as far as just the discord and the disarray and the separation and the negativity. But I'm not going to lie, it's been so hard, and all of the tools that I acquired, I celebrated just about 2 weeks ago, my 18th year being clean and sober, and the tools that have come along with that path, my spiritual path, my path learning the value of story and being a storyteller and working as a team to tell stories, being a husband and being a father, these tools that come in. I've got them all lined up every day right now for the battle, and it's hard, it's intense, but I'm smiling and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this experience. I'm grateful so much. It shines, times like these shine such an intense and vivid light upon the gems of gifts that we've been given by God, or what you choose to believe that we have to be grateful for. And right now, those things are so solid and strong with me, namely, and number one, my partner in this journey, which is my wife, Eve, who you know well now, and who we've spent time together. She's been just incredible. But yeah, it's hard, and I'm just grateful to be able to talk to some friends tonight and connect, because staying connected is how we defeat the evil, and not falling for this trick that we are alone or that we're separate from one another. That's it's an age-old trick, and it's been being played upon us for millennia. But man, right now is it hitting hard, and we are so separated from one another. And it's hard to look at the screens right now. I tell you that. What's happening across our country, it's just, wow, it's been a hard 72 hours.
Let's talk about the page. In what seems like a natural, obvious progression of your career, but in ways is just absolutely genius, you've written a comic.
I did. I wrote a comic book. It was in my office. Those of you who know me, Anthony, you know me well. I'm a lifelong collector of all things nerd. I'm a D&D player. I love my comic books. I love my horror movies and my sci-fi and my toys. And I've been loving those things since I was a little boy. And, then I grew up and I never lost that love for those things. But as you know well, Anthony, because of, projects like Animals and other theater projects that I've done in my life, telling stories, I've always followed the sage advice of write what you know. And I've written the stories that are closest to my heart and the nearest and dearest to me. With Count Crowley and with this new project that I've been, enjoying so much getting to create these past couple of years, I've taken my love of monsters and my love of that world and combined them with both the internal battles and struggles that I face as someone who struggles with addiction and mental illness, but also in the world of Count Crowley, monsters have been infiltrating our society by spinning fake news and information into the world. And so, they're showing you their true colors, but they're telling you something else through the news, through the media, through entertainment. And as we all know, that is one of the ways of mass mind control and the darkness has been able to seep so strongly into our society right now. So and because it's told through the framework of monsters, bad monsters, because in my comic book, there's also good monsters, because I believe there are good monsters in the world. I like to think of myself as a good monster.
What are you talking about, David?
So, yeah, in 2016, I was getting clobbered, and I was thinking about the way that, the media and how powerful individuals can spin so much and control people with so much hatred and fear and division, and using such important tools to do that. And I pitched the idea as a comic book, and luckily they said, okay, get to writing.
And then speaking of fighting monsters, you ended up in Washington, D.C., pitching in to fight for some funding for the NEA. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yes. So I went as an ambassador for Screen Actors Guild, and there was many different unions and other representatives for different arts and artist organizations. But we were there for twofold. One of the things was the tax legislation which passed and which cut so many breaks for the wealthiest amongst our country, and also for corporations, unfortunately took away the ability for people who earned between $13,000 and $100,000 a year to deduct their business expenses, meaning individuals working as artists and gaffers and riggers and stage managers, and all those people lost the ability to get that extra $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000. So I went to speak on behalf of that and to talk. We sat across from members of the GOP who had voted this stuff in to try and talk to them, because you can go and talk to the people who support you all day long, and it's just a cheerleading rally. But we wanted to sit down with them, and that was our conversation starter, because it was really valuable to us to make sure that they know that there's people out there whose pockets were getting hit hard, and those people were going to spread the word, and that was going to be really resonant during voting time, followed by the proposal at the time, which was massive cuts. As you know, the pejorative way that our current leadership speaks about the endowment for the arts funding, the importance of arts in education, the importance of arts in our communities. And so we wanted to make an impassioned and personal, pitch to them as to why they should not vote for the cuts, but should instead vote to maintain, if not increase, what is needed annually. And it was super intense. It was super scary. I was sitting across from people who I don't particularly care for when I watch them on the news, or when I know what their platforms are as politicians, but they're humans. And I needed to connect and look them in the eyes as a human being and share the same air with them, and talk about how I lived on the streets, how I was a homeless addict, and how the work and the community involvement from arts organizations like Collaboration helped to lift me up, how it connected me. Writing that piece with Aisha, I talked about the importance of that, and that how organizations like Collaboration, they rely so much upon obviously private donations and fundraising campaigns, but also endowments. And it was a really scary, terrifying, anxiety-inducing, but also very rewarding experience. And I was going to be going back now, if things weren't what they are right now, to do some more of that.
Well, I know how open and charismatic you are, and I have no doubt that they heard you. And thank you for doing that. I want to point out something really cool, which is that don't look over your right shoulder. Look into the screen. You can see me reflected in your comic book frame there. Like I'm a part of your setup, right? Do you see that?
You're a part of the tapestry, Anthony. I mean, wow. I designed it that way. Yeah.
Wow. Philip K. Dick would be proud. You have architected from being homeless, strung out on opiates, in your sleeping in your car, to rolling with Hollywood's finest, and every time you're on camera on the screen, you have this pop. You just pop on, and you do the same thing on the stage. I mean, your stage pop is hot. I mean, but you do it on camera, and now you're writing and you're making comic books. And, you know, I expect to see this trajectory for the next 30, 40 years, because you live a healthy life and you've got a good wife and kids. And what can you share with somebody who's watching us right now, who's where you were 20 years ago, or who has all of this talent, but nobody sees it? What can you share for some career development tactics that worked for you with someone who's listening to this right now who finds it on the internet in 2 years?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, if you are sitting there tonight and you're struggling with either addiction or mental illness or mental health issues, and you're feeling alone, you feel isolated, you don't feel like there's anybody that can listen to you, the simple power of Google right now, internet resources are at an all-time greatest presence, and there's Zoom meetings waiting for you where you can go in. You don't even have to be on camera. You can be anonymous, and you can be a participant in the collective, even though it's online and you're not going to be in a room with people, support, as well as through SAMHSA. You'll find all kinds of resources that are available to those who don't have a penny in their pocket. Past that, because you got to take care of yourself first. You have to get your body healthy, your mind healthy. I mean, otherwise, pursuing the journey of being a storyteller is, I don't recommend it. Second thing, now, wherever you're watching from, if you're in Chicago, if you're what city you're in, if you're in Chicago, bless you, you have a great edge and gift, because there's a community of theater artists and artists, if that's your thing, or if it's music or otherwise, but performance, where you can just get involved. There were so many people that were just getting involved, and I'm going to continue to use Collaboration as an example, but there are dozens, if not hundreds, of other arts organizations that have so much to offer you and so much for you to learn from. So for me to just continue to throw my hat in the ring, I was sending in my short scripts for the Collaboration open, contests. I was sending them to all the other theater companies as well. I was showing up to every audition posted, and I just started to connect with people. And sometimes if I wasn't right for the role in the thing, I was finding a way that I could participate or help move or set up chairs or run box office. And that's how I built a tribe in Chicago. And that's how I started to thread that connectivity. And fortunately for me, some really wonderful and talented people just brought me into their visions for their different projects, like our friend Jimmy McDermott, who we were just talking about, Anthony, or my friend Jennifer Shook. So many people in Chicago at that time.
Emily Schwartz,
Kevin Hagen, who brought me into Shattered Globe, and so many amazing supporters. But I highly recommend that, because if you're only focused on going for those auditions for like the big movies or the TV shows, and that's it, that was like twice a year for like a movie or a TV show. For me, it was at that time. I know Chicago's landscape has changed considerably when it comes to TV and film, but the opportunity to be involved with either an open mic or a stage performance in some capacity or another was available to me 6 to 7 nights a week. And I took advantage of it. And I never turned an opportunity down to help or be a part of something in some way or another. And to this day, I feel like I could thread so many of the moments where I'm at or having right now to the interconnected web of building blocks that were a part of me saying yes to every opportunity, saying yes, I'll carry that thing to help get stuff loaded up into the Flatiron building for a production that some people are putting on for free. Just say yes and be open. The Chicago is just, and the country, there are so many places. I shouldn't just say Chicago, because you may be watching this from, I don't know, Milwaukee, but there are so many wonderful artists around this country, and we need you right now. This country, we are in such a state right now. We really need the voices to be heard and supported and lifted up.
It's amazing stuff, man. I appreciate you putting that out there like that. So many young artists needed to hear that. It's not about reaching for that big thing, but it's those little things that you do every day, every week with your colleagues, as opposed to that big stuff, the big shiny stuff. I want to join you on that and say, 40 years ago when I got started in this business, man, I would load in gear for bands that I wanted to, that I was excited about, and end up becoming a member of those bands, as professional, top level, world traveling kind of stuff. Parliament Funkadelic. That's how I got to play with those cats by being the guitar tech for their main guitar player. And then one day I fired up his stuff and really cranked it. They go, dude, you shouldn't be pushing. You should be playing. I remember walking down Sunset Boulevard in your town, right? You're in LA or something like that, right? I was going down Sunset Boulevard, and I saw this sign that says Crusaders Production. I go, Crusaders Production? Oh, my favorite jazz band is the Jazz Crusaders. I wonder if that's them. So I walk in and I knock on the door, and a sweet little lady named Pam Lobe says, yeah, this is us, but we don't take walk-ins and whatnot. And just at that time, one of the members was struggling to get through the door, so I grabbed all of his stuff and made it easy for him to get through the door. I spent a year on the road with those cats. Stuff like that. You're telling it how it is, man. That's how it works, man. I totally appreciate you putting that love out there like that.
Dr. Slade, do you have a question for David?
David is, David, I lived in Los Angeles for many years, and I just wish I knew you when I lived there, because just looking at your background is reminding me when I would take refuge in Meltdown Comics. That's a comic book store, y'all, also on Sunset Boulevard. And just like, I felt so safe and so seen. So I'm having that exact feeling right now. And I just want to say thank you for your work. And you've just shared so much of your heart. I don't know that I have a question. I'm just sitting here like, I'm just being my little nerdy self.
Meltdown was one of the first spots. I was crashing on a friend of mine's couch in West Hollywood, right by the Astro Burger there. So I'd walk up the street I walked right up to the comic shop. And here's the thing about talking about showing up and doing the work because you love it and connecting with community. In the back of Meltdown, they set up a stage. They let them put together this whole cool thing where people who I've become friends with now, but at the time they were doing it absolutely for free, absolutely because they needed to connect with people and to tell their stories. And comedians like Kumail Nanjiani and his wife Emily Gordon ran a great show there, Jonah Ray Rodriguez, so many incredible artists who were there. One of my dear friends, Steve Agee, who you know from tons of TV and movie stuff, was there shooting the pictures. And these are people who were showing up, carrying the amps in, doing this for free or $5 to get in to see the show. Right. It's like, that is just what it's about. But yeah, I
missed that place. I miss
going. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody in our Zoom who'd like to come on air live and toss a question at David Dastmalchian. If so, just let Luca know. We do have someone off Facebook. TJ Simba Mendel has two questions. I'll give you one of them. What are the best practices for finding peace for those who don't have access to the internet?
Well, for me personally, and it's such a personal journey, TJ, but for me, I have a physical regimen that is really important and part of my my daily routine that includes the exercise and yoga that I do in the morning. And I have children and a chaotic schedule. So that is a small sliver of time, no matter what your work schedule is or how crazy life is, you can find the time for that. And then there are certain texts that I have found that I can go back to and which will ground me. And I'm not saying that that is what is the text for you. I've been on a long journey to find those different texts, which include everything from the Big Book by Bill W. to the New Testament and parts of the Old Testament of the Holy Bible. There's a lot of different stuff that for you can find and own that text that you can have in your room and that are such great tools. And the last thing that I'll recommend if you've got the desire for it brings me a great deal of peace to make contracts with myself by writing and committing ink to paper. And if I was going to start manipulating this camera and turning it around, you guys would see, but I have a poster board that I utilize, as well as small pieces of construction paper, and then journals like this.
Come on, can we see? We all want to see, David. Turn it around.
I continue on a daily basis to commit between myself, and this isn't just about professional things, mind you. This is, you're talking about trying to find peace. You're trying to find, having that commitment with myself is, in the beginning, it was about how many days I could commit to going without a drink or without drugs, or how many days I could go without, and how I was going to work to eviscerating thoughts of harming myself, or how I could start to believe that people really love me for me, or that I was worthy of life. There was a time in my life where I absolutely believed that the world was going to be better off without me in it. And that took a lot of work. And we use like silly slogans, but terms like fake it till you make it, writing things down and making contracts with yourself. So I do keep daily, weekly, monthly, biannual and annual goals. I also have life goals. And yes, a lot of that is, project oriented now. It hasn't always been that way. And it's incredibly grounding. It's incredibly helpful because my brain starts to get very chaotic and I start to feel overwhelmed, like I'm not doing enough, or I've got too many thoughts racing. And something that helps me to bring things into focus and organize is the writing down of the goals. So whatever it is that you feel like, it is that you're yearning for, that you deserve in your life, and that is peace and love for yourself and to be surrounded by people who know, care, and love you, then writing all that down it's a great gift to yourself if you can do that.
Beautiful.
Gold.
Yeah. Affirmations are big. Goal setting is big. Writing it down is the first place it manifests in reality. Last August, I spent a week at Bill W.'s ancestral home. So pleased that our paths are intertwined in some way. And I wonder, is the Sunset Gower studio still there?
Sunset Gower studio is still there. Sunset Gower is right next to, I go there sometimes for work stuff, but also there's a great Starbucks right there by the corner there. And yes, it is absolutely there, right off the 101.
That was one of my office spaces back in the day, in the 80s, doing film and TV. You might know one show I was connected to, which was Too Close for Comfort with Ted Knight.
Oh yes, Ted Knight and Jim J. Bullock.
Yep. And then this show by another name, but when we wrote and did the pilot for it, they they bought the thing, but scrapped our underlying premise and flipped it. It was about the governor and his superstar wife and their cool butler. And so we did this thing, and when they flipped it, it became Benson.
Holy moly.
So those are two connecting stories to my LA life back in the day, which made collaboration a yes. The moment I saw anything Anthony Moseley wrote about, hey, give me a helping hand. So
David, TJ replied, David, thank you so much for your vulnerability and sharing your story. This was very helpful, especially making contracts with myself.
Yeah.
Well, brother, thank you for taking a little time away from bedtime for the family. I do not undervalue how busy you must be. And it's just always a breath of fresh air to share space with you, man. Thank you so much. And I know we can count on you to be authentic and bold. And we're gonna try to match you.
Yes.
I love you very much, Anthony. Thanks for all that you do, and thanks. It was so great to get to meet you all and talk tonight. I really appreciate it, and everybody who's watching. And I thought it was pretty cool that I got to share the night with the love of your life. She's such a special person, man. You guys, I love your love. It is just such a beautiful thing. And I remember watching the two of you. It was a stressful night back in 04, 05, and you're in the alley there by the Chopin. Something's going on, and you guys are just still laughing, and she's still like, "Oh, Anthony," and you're doing some goof, and I could see it like it's yesterday. And the fact that I got to do that show with you guys, just what was that, 3 years ago? Wow, what a gift it keeps giving. So thank you, thanks for this opportunity. God bless everybody, and stay safe, be healthy, and we'll see you again.
Thanks, brother.
Peace, peace.
That was great.
And now we're up for our last segment.
What?
I know, time is a thief, honey, but this is a good segment because it is our signal boost. And that's when we spotlight peoples and all the groups that's doing all the great things to bring us what? Together. This week's signal boost goes out to costume designer Kristen P. Ahern, who has co-founded Artist Resource Mobilization, ARM. Again, that's Artist Resource Mobilization. In response to COVID-19 pandemic to provide high quality masks and other supplemental personal protective equipment made by members of the great theater arts community here in Chicago. And they also have a GoFundMe. There it is. It's right there at the bottom that you can click on. There's a GoFundMe. If you don't see the link, I'll read it to you right now, CharityGoFundMe.com. And this is, again, for the Artist Resource Mobilization. Give when you can. And that's our spotlight.
And you know those costume designers are making some really cool masks.
Yeah, honey, those darts are banging. You better go ahead and get in there, okay? Because I'm definitely getting me some masks. So get into it.
Wow, what a show. Episode 6. Wow.
7.
What? No, but this was 6.
Just kidding.
David and Sandra. Wow. And now next week, episode 7, we have Miranda Gonzalez, artistic director of urban theater, playwright, actor. I mean, and she's the daughter of 2 Chicago cops. So she is a social justice warrior. Wow. So she always has an interesting take on what's getting tooken. And then we have Marvin Tate at halftime. Marvin is a Chicago legend, originally from Lawndale, poet, visual artist, outsider artist, insider human. Marvin is going to be our halftime performance, and he's touched by the great spirit in a special way. And then fellow Rage member Tanika Lewis Johnson, photographer, artist, activist, really someone who's educating our city right now on an epic scale about the history of segregation and the impact of segregation. The folded map, Madam herself, Tanika Lewis Johnson. We got another great show next week. How about it?
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. So stick around, everybody. Come back next week. Check out the show every Thursday night, 8 o'clock. But stick around tonight after the credits for our weekly show. This week, we'll have the screening of Thread by David Dastmalchian and Asia June. You're going to love this piece.
Yes, yes. And we love our sponsors. So we want to say thank you. And if you want to see more of programming like this, please, 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 please consider a donation of any amount at collaboraction.org. That's collaboraction.org. Or you can become a monthly contributor for as little as $5 a month. So come on and put 5 on it. We'd love to get a bunch of those. That's collaboraction.org.
Thank you for everyone joining on our Zoom tonight and on the Facebook stream and the YouTube Live and Twitch. That's our show, episode 6 in the books. We hope to see you next week. Stay connected, everybody. And, listen to what David and Sandra said. They had a lot of good advice. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Thank you. Love you both.
Good night. Take care, brother.
Thank you.
We out of here.
Collaboration. Theater for Social Change in Chicago.
It's the same thing we've seen time and time again with these so-called protesters and demonstrators. It started with the Occupy Wall Street brats, moved on to the more militant and overtly aggressive Black Lives Matter war crowd, cycled through...
Shut up, David Brown.
It's the same thing we've seen time and time again with these so-called protesters and demonstrators. It started with the Occupy Wall Street brats, moved on to the more militant and overtly aggressive Black Lives...
Shut up!
This kind of hatred has no place in the American dialogue. That being said, I do wonder sometimes how come so many of the Black Lives Matter protests erupt in violence. I mean, if they're protesting and seeking peace, how come they never seem to want to cooperate with law enforcement? I feel like if you want understanding and empathy, you have to give some too.
Oh, here we go. What protests are you watching, sir? I haven't seen them inciting any violence. They're protesting a country and a world where Black lives are intentionally targeted. Fighting injustice. You can't promote peace while cooperating with those who are targeting and marginalizing you.
I watched the videos of protests, ma'am, of protesters at the Trump inauguration. I saw them carrying hammers and crowbars. Didn't look very peaceful to me.
My friends were there. They chained themselves to fences and chanted, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom." They didn't have any crowbars.
I saw the videos. People set fires, windows were smashed.
You can't say a handful of people rep an entire movement.
My friends marched on Washington this year too. How come the Women's March on Washington didn't erupt in violence? How come...
Oh, no.
How come there weren't any arrests there?
You can't compare 1 million white women with little neck pussy hats to what BLM's doing.
Oh, so now white people can't protest injustice and oppression. How is that fair?
You're gonna victimize white people in this? You need to wake the fuck up.
You need to open your eyes.
They're open. My eyes are open. But before I say something here I regret, my laptop's going.
Hi. I know I don't know you, weird, but our exchange got out of hand, and I am sorry. I haven't stopped thinking about it for the last couple months, and I wanted to apologize to you and let you know that I really do want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. So I guess you finally opened your eyes. What is it you want to know?
I want to apologize for being rude, but I do want to say that I think we both could benefit from hearing what the other one has to say. That being said, I wonder if the Black Lives Matter protests are protesting against police violence. How come I never see protests against gang violence? Why aren't there protests against black-on-black violence?
First of all, there are a whole bunch of protest organizations fighting against gang violence. if you actually cared about the lives of Black people, you'd know. And please, don't even get me started on the propaganda that's Black on Black crime.
Propaganda? You live in Chicago, right? How many murders were there last year? Gun violence, 700 something? How many of those were police on innocent people? 2, 3? I don't know. How many were Black men killing other Black men?
Listen, man, we are the victims of crimes and police attacks. We can be sick and tired of gun violence in our communities and sick of cops shooting Black men in the back. That's just reality.
Well, where are the protests against gun violence in your community? Where are the protests against Black on Black crime?
Where are the protests against white on white crime?
What?
It's sociology. People kill who they're around. Black people mostly kill Black people. White people mostly kill white people. No one who's driving from Inglewood down to Oak Park to shoot someone. And if you neighborhood kicked down by institutionalized racism, no jobs, no school funding, police and politicians that made you feel like they didn't care, now what would that look like?
Hey, I'm not a Republican, okay? I voted for Hillary.
You want a trophy, and I didn't vote for Trump non-participation report?
That's not fair, man. I believe in social justice. I know that institutionalized racism exists. I acknowledge my white privilege. I get it.
Do you?
Yeah, I donated to the ACLU.
You called a couple senators? You posted a few Huffington Post articles to your Facebook wall?
Yeah.
You couldn't last a week where I live. You couldn't even make it to walk from the bus stop to my house. And if you look like me, you wouldn't feel safe when you saw a patrol car driving down your block at 2 miles per hour during midday. Trust me, they never gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling, like they cared about my well-being. Just crippling anxiety.
I like Tribe Called Quest.
1 billion white dude who likes Black music and doesn't understand what he's listening. Oh, and I can't forget to honor you for the many, many times you've heard the word nigga and did say it along with the lyrics.
There's no winning with you.
What do you want from me? A pat on the back? You want me to tell you you're a nice white guy? Relieve some of that nice white guilt you got on your back? Dear Eric, I found your email address on the website that's listed on your Facebook page. Your website is cool and your designs look really interesting. I hope you don't mind me emailing you directly, but I wanted to reach out and let you know that our last interaction is still on my mind. I am sad and angry. I'm livid whenever someone gets killed in my community or any community. I've cried for people I've never met. I've mourned because their lives were dispensable, and to this country, so is mine. I'm going to keep protesting. Black Lives Matter and other organizations are making our voices heard in a way that makes you guys finally seem to listen. When Trump was elected, I felt devastated. Hopeless. Until I went downtown and linked arms with thousands of other people. Black, white, brown. We all felt the same. It's 2017 and this is still going on. I don't see much changing anytime soon either. I don't know how or when things are going to change. But I know they have to. I hope you're doing well. Peace. Freedom. Hello?
Great.
Who's this?
Eric,
Who?
you know, from the Facebook thread that I didn't vote for Trump for non-participation in work meeting.
How'd you get my number?
Oh, it's listed on your band.
You went to my Bandcamp page?
Yeah, well, that was posted on your Facebook wall, and so then I went to your Bandcamp page and I listened to all your music. It's awesome.
Thanks. Your book designs are pretty cool too.
Thanks.
Why'd you call me?
I don't know. I haven't been able to stop thinking about the Facebook meltdown and the messages in your email, and I wanted to apologize.
For what?
I don't know. I said some stupid things.
Yeah. So did I.
I probably should have thought about what I was going to say before I called you. I'm sorry.
So, you like tried?
Yeah. You?
Yeah. A lot.
Cool. Do you like the new stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Cool.
Collaboration. Theater for Social Change in Chicago.